welcome to episode 2 of UoR Voice. I am Rumi and I will be leading this episode. I'm a meteorology student here at the University of Reading and I'm joined by
Siba.
And Luka.
Can you guys tell me a bit about what you study and what you do?
I'm a second year consumer behavior and marketing student.
Nice.
And I study international business and management in
Nice.
my second year as well.
Great. Okay, so it's us three and we will be taking you through this journey of wellness and exams and study and everything well-being related. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Band Society for creating the little jingle that you might have heard at the start of this episode. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about is studying and how to manage exam stress and how to manage kind of dealing with the anxiety of having exams and assignments due and just the May-June period in general. I'm sure every student can relate how stressful it can be and how we need things to just keep us happy and going through this very turbulent period. So I just wanted to ask you guys, Luna and Shiba, what you do to manage stress and how do you study and how do you prepare for exams in general?
Because I'm a business student, mainly all my exams are online. So I feel like for me, the stress doesn't really hit me up until 3 days before the exam. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I know I actually need to study. But I think in general, because I'm so comfortable with my degree and I feel like I know my stuff, unless I'm doing an accounting or finance module, then I will be like, okay, I need to actually sit down 3 weeks prior to the exam and actually get things done. But I think in general, since they're mainly online, I just have resources ready. And I think my professors also prep me really well. We have resources that we need to we need to read through. We need to put them, have them as open tabs when we're doing our exam. I think, mainly, we'd never think that business would be much of reading, but it's a lot of reading and a lot of citing. So,
yeah, I hear you on that. What about you, Siba?
I've got a couple of in-person exams. So I think for me, I think stress comes from if you don't prepare. So I try to prepare beforehand. I do go to the library for a couple of hours to study. But then I think the planning comes everything the night before, so I try to just
I can relate to that.
jot down my ideas, what I'm going to do. I think it gives me a lot of clarity and focus in the day, so I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do next, but rather I have an itinerary already to follow. Obviously, May-June is a very stressful period. I have loads of assignments, loads of exams, but I think, just that you have to really prioritize what's important. I think right now it's exams, so I'm going to prioritize exams over fun, but I think again everything starts the night before and not the day, so I think that's my secret.
That is a well-kept secret. So do you guys have a structured timetable with revision, or I know Siba, you said everything is last minute for you, but to the lead up to exams, do you have a bullet point list or a timetable of what you're going to do every day, or is it very much what you feel like doing on that day?
Every time I sit down, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna study, or I'm gonna have in these 30 minutes I'm gonna study this. Never really works out. And I think people if it works for you, go ahead, but if you want to be that person, I say don't bother. Really, it's you're mainly putting more time to trying to create this timetable that looks aesthetic and look nice for you and whatever. So I think just in general, I think give yourself breaks. Don't try to rush everything. And I say start with the shorter chapters first. If let's say, I don't know, you study a degree that you have chapters in, let's say I don't know if for you, Rumi, in meteorology, you have chapters to go through.
We definitely have different modules and different things that we cover within them. So yeah.
So I guess let's say instead of chapters, let's say modules that are shorter. You could say easier to revise on a day where you're not really bothered. I really say go for the short. It's when you're studying in school, go for the shorter chapters and then go for the longer ones later.
Yeah.
When you're more used to sitting down and studying, I think don't just go in and be like, this week I'm gonna study in like push yourself to your limits, and then you like crash out
Then
or
you'll
you burn
out.
Yeah,
100%.
I think don't like have high hopes for yourself if you know you're not really a person to sit down and study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Siba, or do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's very hard to get motivated to study, and obviously there are days where you don't even feel like studying. But then I personally use this method not just in exams, but I think, let's say I have a very packed day, and if I want to like achieve a lot in that day, I'll try to use this method called time boxing.
Okay.
So I'll just so I know what I want to do, and I'll try to set these imaginary dates in my mind that the submission is like, let's say, earlier than expected. So I'll actually be stressed and I'll be working on it, because or else I won't get the motivation, because I would rather start early than cramp up like 2-3 days, because that's what I did in my first year, and it was just
Oh my
horrible.
god.
I think everyone definitely learns how to study when they're doing their degree.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just automatically come with the skills to be able to study and to be able to revise. So I think a lot of it is just figuring out what works best for you. And as you said, I think a lot of the aesthetics of making a timetable and making it look pretty and all of that, making it like aesthetic, like very Pinterest-esque, I think it can work for some people, but don't try to make yourself be somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
And only you know yourself. If you think that having a list of like a to-do list or something like that is productive for you, then go ahead and do it. But if you think, I just want to get the easier stuff out of the way and I want to follow my own plan that you have in your head, or follow imaginary deadlines as you do, Siba, then you go and do that. Like, as long as it works for you and as long as you do well by doing that, then I think it's fair game.
So like, apart from being delusional with your time and like gaslighting yourself into thinking that your assignments are earlier, I really believe that like reward systems, like not even like, oh, I'm gonna reward myself with like eating or going shopping or I don't know what. It's really just having a to-do list, and the reward is crossing things off your checklist. I don't know, for me, that's like amazing. I don't know, like getting things done in the day. It could be the minor, like small little tasks of like, I don't know, throw away my trash and then do this chapter. And also, pro tip, when you do a to-do list, don't keep the things brief. Actually make them really detailed. So you actually feel really bad if you don't do it to the detail on the list, and then like you cross it out and you feel kind of bad that you didn't really do it.
Make yourself feel bad. Yeah,
exactly. And then make yourself feel good by crossing it out and then reducing the amount of things you have on your list.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's a good method. I can't lie, I used to do that though.
Try it out.
I switched.
I think for me, and this is kind of where I want to get into neurodiversity, I have ADHD. So the way I revise and the way I study is so different to other people. Like, I wish I could be the person who makes lists and is organized with things, but I physically cannot do something if my brain does not want me to do it. Like, it could be like the most basic thing, but I cannot force myself to do it. I just can't. Like, my brain just will not work. And I think that my brain really only kicks in and starts working when there is a deadline, which is really bad. Or like, if the exam's in 2 days' time, then maybe I'll be like, oh, okay, time to get on it, which I do not like. I really hate myself for this, but I do leave a lot of things till the last minute just because I struggle with the organization aspect of studying. But yeah, that's just my personal experience, and obviously everything is just a work in progress, and everyone is trying to improve themselves. And yeah. So Siba, you were talking about this app that you use to kind of get rid of the instant gratification of opening a social media app and just feeling that instant dopamine release and distracting you from studying. Do you want to tell me a bit more about it, why you stopped using it, and yeah?
Well, first, shout out to Breathe. That's the app's name. So what it really does is it integrates to all of your social media. It doesn't matter if it's Discord, Instagram, WhatsApp. So let's say you're studying, and let's say you open Instagram. It won't open instantly. It's going to open 5 or 10 seconds later. So you're essentially delaying the instant gratification. Now, The thing is, if you're disciplined enough, you're going to leave the app because you're not going to wait 10 seconds. But then 10 seconds isn't a lot. People wait for it. And then the moment you're in the app, that 5 minutes becomes 20, then 20 becomes 1 hour. So, I think it's a lot to do with discipline. And I think personally, I tried to use it a few times, but it didn't work out for me because I waited 20 seconds. I waited even 10 seconds for the app to open. And it's like you're just in this vicious cycle. And then getting out of it is very tough. So that's why personally I never used it afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I used this app as well, I think back in GCSE time. It's called Forest, and what it does is it plants an imaginary tree. So it starts off as like a seed, and then it's like, oh, set a timer for like an hour or something. And it's so that you can't access other apps and it's just stuck on that screen. And I think that these apps are good to use. But if you're somebody who struggles with self-discipline, it's kind of a bit difficult because it's like you want to become more disciplined by using these apps, but you need discipline to begin with in order to not just swipe up and just delete it. So yeah, it's kind of, to be honest, the best thing is just to improve yourself and to improve your own self-discipline. And these apps can kind of aid you with it, but you need to have an ounce of it to begin with. Which is kind of what I would say regarding these study apps. Would you agree? Or
I personally think you should just put your phone in DND.
Yep.
No notifications, and just keep your phone a little far so you don't have to you don't even have to get it. It's, so you can just be with your laptop or your books and study for whatever time you're studying.
Like put your phone in the drawer. That's what I used to do.
Yeah.
Or give it to your mom or something.
No, my mom like always trusted me, but like I just put it in the drawer, or like now I just like sometimes I think people really need to sit down with themselves and be like, if I'm not gonna have the discipline to follow an app, I need to actually like sit down and lock in and do my work, because I'm not like failing an exam. I'm not repeating a year. We're in uni. We're not in high school anymore. Repeating a high school year.
Yeah.
We're in uni. This is a bit different.
Each year costs money.
Yeah, it's gonna cost double than what we pay for high school at this point. So I was just like, put the phone away, or even like put a movie, like, or a podcast. If you guys listen to podcasts,
I can't lie. Podcasts are very helpful. I think most of my knowledge, most of the things, at least in my course, I get from podcasts, not through books.
Wow, I didn't know that you have like subject-specific knowledge that comes from podcasts as well.
Because it's economics.
Oh,
it's just
fair enough.
everything.
Yeah.
There's so much on the internet.
Yeah, there's so much on the internet. Sometimes it's good to have like, yesterday I actually did this. I had just like a really gentle YouTube video playing in the background, like just, I don't know, something silly like Best Buys of 2024 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not really paying attention to it, but because I have a screen there and it's playing alongside my actual work, I don't feel the need to pick up the phone because I'm already engaged in a screen, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that definitely makes sense, yeah. But the question is, do you reckon working or like studying with someone else helps you to motivate you to study or reduce the distraction?
No.
Do you think it increases distraction or?
I don't think it increases distraction. I think more like you yourself. Like for me, I'm a yapper. I love to talk about so many different things.
That's why we're on a podcast.
Exactly. So the fact that if I'm studying with, let's say, my friend, or like in a group setting, like I live in town, so all of my friends in like first term, we were so like, I don't know what the word is, but we were like so hopeful, we were going to study and I don't know what. We're all at a table like in the common area of this apartment building. When I tell you we're just walking around making new friends, we're not really studying.
Yeah.
We're saying we're getting work done, we're on ChatGPT. We're not getting work done. We're on ChatGPT and we're literally walking around the like area and we're just talking to people and petting everyone's dog. So I really need to just sit alone, be sad and be like sad about myself that I'm not actually doing work. And like lock in. I don't know if it's for you guys the same thing, but yeah.
I think I actually agree with you. I think the best work that I get done, because I get distracted so easily, is genuinely by myself. Like in my room, like, blinds open, natural sunlight in, and just locking in just like that. Because even if I'm sitting with somebody else, I think I would just feel a bit like I'd want to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'd want to know if they want to take a break together.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
like 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes and then, you know, the whole afternoon has gone that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think I study well with other people. But if I'm like in between lectures or something, then I definitely will go to the meteorology library and just chill with everyone else and get like minor work done or reply to a few emails or something like that. But it's definitely not strenuous work. It's just light work here and there. But I think sometimes if you have like a group task or something, or if you have an assignment where you're allowed to work with other people, it can be good. But it's just, again, about discipline. And just if someone tries to make it into a conversation that's not work related, you just have to have, you know, the willpower to be like, okay, guys, let's get back on track. But yeah, if you don't have that, then just study on your own. It's fine. You can have designated social hours in your day, which kind of will help you feel less lonely. So something that I wanted to ask you guys was, how do you manage studying and university life alongside personal life? So hanging out with friends, if you have family commitments, but you have something due, how do you say no? Or how do you say yes, but in a way that doesn't compromise your uni work?
I think an important thing, I tell this to everyone, like, and I need to also tell this to myself more often, learn to say no. Like, it doesn't matter, even if it's, because sometimes we're like, oh, it's just, we're going to go grab lunch. We're going to go grab, I don't know what. We're going to just, we're going to go shopping together. Then I'm going to go back home. You don't really end up going back home. You end up having little side quests like here and there.
Yeah.
I think just learn to say no and be like, I'm not going to miss out on anything if I go home now or if I don't go out today. Like, I feel like we're all at the age where we don't need to experience FOMO anymore, guys.
FOMO is a real thing.
Yeah, FOMO is a real thing.
But realistically, I'm like comparing with my life right now. Like, I'm sorry, but if with the people that I know, if you're having FOMO right now and what me and my friends do, like, I'm sorry, like, you're not really missing out, because all we do is sit and linger and rot away. We don't really do things like, you know, unless I'm going to work or something, then I'm actually doing something, or we go to London, then we're doing something. But apart from staying in Reading, we're just sitting and talking about pure nonsense. So I think there's time. Also, this comes with discipline, saying no to going out with your friends, because you know it's the same thing every single day. Just say no and stay at home and study. I think it's just as easy as that.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I used to think that I have FOMO, and I mean, it really haunted me my first year, because I used to say yes, because I used to feel like I used to come to the UK for a few months and then I used to go back. So I feel like, you know, and if you were to compare this from the Middle East, it's very different.
Yeah.
So I used to, this felt more like a vacation home to me. So that's why I said more yes than no. But that was first year. Second year, I'm obviously saying no because this year counts.
Yep, 100%. Saying no, I mean, I think that's the key takeaway here. Or even if it is something you genuinely want to do, like Luna, you mentioned going to London, if your friends are going, maybe just tell yourself, or maybe tell your friends, like, listen, I've got this coming up. Can we maybe do it a few days later or a few weeks later? Just, I guess, being honest and communicating. If they're really your friends, they should be understanding. And if it's something you want to do, then, you know, put that out there. Be like, hey, can potentially we do this day instead? And if they say no, then they say no. And, you know, sometimes people's timetables don't really line up. But yeah, prioritize, you know, your studies over friends at this point, especially May-June exam period. But maybe you can plan things for the future that you can look forward to. I know after exams, me and my friends have a lot of like little plans that we're just thinking and dreaming about to distract ourselves from exam revision. But yeah, it's good to have stuff out there, but it's important to know not everything needs to be done immediately. Okay, so we've talked a lot about exams and studying. But I think an important thing to also discuss is managing side hustles, side jobs, anything to make you money basically when you're in university. So how do you guys manage having any part-time jobs along with studying for exams, or just your university timetable in general? Luna, do you want to go first?
I think Honestly, it's like amazing for me because being a business student, we don't have 9 to 5s. I have classes 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week, depending on the week. So like I'm kind of glad that I have that free time to actually go and work, and I love working. I'd rather be working at a corporate job right now than being at uni and studying, because I feel like I love to get things done, or like I don't know. I like being on a time crunch. In uni I don't really feel that, but at work I do. In my first year, as soon as I got into uni, my first month, I got an internship as a consultant in Reading.
Wow.
And I was studying and I was consulting at the same time. And that was so fun for me because I just had that. And I was also working as a student ambassador. So I had 2 jobs and I had uni. I was literally hustling and bustling for money. And I think just to manage that all together, I think my timetable, my schedule or whatever really fit in well with that. And I think my jobs that I had, I really loved doing them. So I was never like, ugh, I have to do work. Ugh, I have to do something for work. It'd always be like, ugh, I have to do something for uni. It would never be like, oh my God, I have to do something for work.
So because you enjoyed it, it was kind of like very manageable for you.
Yeah, and I think I understood it. So I was like, you know what, it's not like, oh my God, a burden for me to go and do. I wasn't doing it for the money. I was actually doing it because I really enjoyed my work.
That's ideal, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So,
what about you, Siba? Because I know you did an internship, or?
So I think again, my schedule is very against classes maybe once or twice a day, and then I don't even have classes every day. I think I have Tuesday
Must be
off.
nice.
So I feel my schedule is really it's not stressful in terms of classes and lectures and everything. So I did take up an internship, and I'm doing an internship at a bank. So,
oh wow, which bank is that?
NatWest.
Crazy.
So it is long hours, it's a lot of work. Very good money though, very good money. But then it is so much work. But again, I always wanted to work in the corporate sector, work as an investment banker. That's my ideal job, at least. And I think again, I love what I do. So I think allocating time to it is not very tough for me.
Okay.
Alongside my uni thing, because I think uni work can get monotonous at times.
And it kind of gives you a distraction.
It does give me a good distraction. There's just so much to learn because I did not know much about the financial sector. So I think there was a lot of learning as well. But again, you're just meeting so many people.
And it goes alongside your degree quite nicely because you do economics.
Yes.
So like I think with both of you, because you do business and your internship was related to business consulting and yours was at a bank and you do economics, I think this kind of your side job, I think a lot of people think that all you have to do is like work at a bar or something, but there are opportunities for students that can definitely help your studies as well. So you don't feel like you're just doing it for the money and then just feel like quite bored of it. So yeah, that sounds good, guys. Did you say that you worked in a coffee shop as well? Or?
Yeah, I just recently, I'm not even going to, oh my God, I can't believe I've been promoting. It's my family friend's business in London.
Yep.
So obviously I'm going to go work there. It's like a second family I have. I love the place. It's in London. It's next to Selfridges.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, that place is so fun because I grew up with my family friends, like my auntie and my uncle there. So I feel like also there, and I think it's also different when you're working and you're studying and you're putting more time towards your work than your studies. I think it's more of why we do that. It's because we have something more rewarding there. Like we're getting paid from that. We can't disappoint work because we can get fired and then, oh my God, we have to go through the entire strenuous process of applying for a job and getting for it. Even though with my coffee shop job, I didn't have to do really anything because I know the owners. But like with the consulting one and with the uni one, obviously I had to like actually put effort and go to interviews and I don't know what for it. So I think there is something more to lose than like just like, because that's why we slack off with studying and like procrastinate and whatever.
I think like the instant gratification that comes from having a job and getting paid, and also, as you said, like the fear of losing a job just makes it so much more like, okay, I really have got to work hard now.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of times with university, because it's hard to see the end goal, particularly if graduation is quite far away, it's hard to just stay focused, and it's
Yeah.
hard to think like, okay, I'm actually working for something and it's an actual tangible outcome. So I think maybe that's why it's hard to stay focused on university. And I think just something I would say, just to keep focused on university rather than your job or anything else you have going on, is just always remember what this degree is for and why you first signed up and what you hope to get out of it. Like, it can seem like a really long, tedious process, especially if you're doing a bachelor's and it's 3 years. But yeah, it's just important to keep that in mind. But obviously, do what you love alongside that. And yeah. Okay, so next, I guess moving on from part-time jobs, but kind of still within the job realm, I wanted to talk about rejection and dealing with negative feedback, feeling a bit lost, I think, especially as we approach, this kind of period where people are thinking, what am I doing next year? Especially if they're not in second year, if they're in third year or doing their masters like myself. A lot of us are thinking, what are the next steps? What are we doing? And we're applying for countless jobs and getting rejections, which is just part of the process. But I kind of wanted to take it here to Luna and Siba to talk about job rejections and well-being. How do you deal with that? How do you not feel low about yourself? How do you pick yourself back up to get back on it, get back on the job grind, and just keep applying? Siba, do you want to go?
I feel rejection is hard when you have put in a lot of effort. If you have not put in the effort, it's fine. Just another job, getting rejected is okay. But I think the mindset should be every job rejection should be a learning for you. Maybe you didn't like the company and that's why you got rejected, or maybe you just applied because you were supposed to apply. And I think I have applied to multiple companies because I'm doing a placement next year, and I've got rejected so many times. I think I've got rejection more than like 50 companies or something.
Same, yep.
And I think sometimes asking them for feedback is very important.
Most important,
to
yeah.
why you got rejected. Many companies don't really reply unless you reach the assessment centers, but when they do, they give you some form of clarity to why you got rejected. But I think you should never be sad about rejection because you can't change the fact that you're not got it into the company. There's no point of being sad. I think you should just move on and, just take the learnings and apply to different companies. And I think that's my approach. I wouldn't really cry or be sad about it. Rather, just focus on new ventures and new opportunities and then just go with that.
Yep, like keep optimistic and use it
Yeah.
as a learning opportunity.
100%.
Would you concur, Luna?
I would. What I would add on to this as well. And so I've been applying for jobs since I first came to uni, and everyone knows that the recruitment phase starts in around August, where you have to apply even for placements and whatnot. So I've been applying, and I know people that have applied to over 800 positions in a year, and they've gotten rejected from most of them and only ever got 20 replies back and only 2 interviews out of those 800 applications. And it's not even 800 applications in the UK, it's around the entire world. I think pro tip, some people always stick to applying in London or around the UK. Definitely try applying for around the world. When I was applying, I applied for the US, for the Middle East, and around the UK and Europe, You never know where you never know. You might actually hate working in London. You might not even like it.
Don't limit
Yeah.
your options.
Exactly. Don't limit your option, literally just go for the unknown. Go for the unknown. You never know. I've been rejected also how many times? Honestly, sometimes I'm like, really, I wish. And all of us are somewhat egotistical in the terms of where we believe that, I'm the best candidate this company could ever have.
Yeah.
They missed out and they're missing out. Sometimes we have to face the fact that there is someone probably more qualified than us, and we have to just let that be. Deal with the fact that someone is way more qualified than you. Their CV is probably way more insane, but they also had to start from somewhere. So you never know, as well as someone being more qualified than you, and you never know, you might, the company culture around that doesn't go well with you. I've spoken to how many people that work in very much different industries, different companies, and they were like, Like, I hate the team that I work with. I hate the company culture. I really don't. It doesn't suit my vibe. I want to leave, but I can't because I have no other options right now and I'm stuck with this. So this also links with well-being there is what we're talking about today in this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just what's best for you. And you just have to like kind of, keep optimistic and think that, okay, this is not a missed opportunity rather than it just was not meant for me.
But my question would be, let's say working in a company and you have a bad team. What do you do in that situation? Because you can't leave, so that you don't have that option. So what do you do?
Be the leader and get a promotion.
That's the answer.
Honestly, if you have a bad team, I know someone that was working at a bank in the US in New York, and he had a horrible team. Like, the team was not cooperating. He was actually not going to get promoted because his team was that bad.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't even know what to do. But, he persevered. He pulled through. He tried to at least be you could say the odd one out in the group to get recognized.
Yeah.
And then when he got recognized, he was like, you know what? I'm done with this company. Left and then went to another even better company in the US. So, and then there he got like rewarded, you could say, like, I don't know, by the universe, by the world. He had an insane team with him at the new company. And I think it's like lesson learned, especially when you want to apply to a job. What you learned from having a bad experience at another company is so crucial and very key because it shows how you grow as a person and how you deal with stressful or like with people that don't communicate well. And all of us have done applications where they asked us this question: what's the time when you had to deal with something that's bad? And honestly, university does help with that as well, with like horrible group works we've had to do. It's group work is something we need a separate episode for, because this actually it's like I don't know. It makes me question everything in life. But
so right now we got the secret. The secret is perseverance and consistency leads to better opportunities. And I think it's very important. That's a life skill, but also helps you in your well-being. And yeah.
So I think the main takeaway here is with applying for jobs, you are going to face countless rejections, and that is just inevitable. Everybody I know has been through that. I've been through that. Siba's been through that. Luna's been through that. It's just part of the process. So yeah, when we were talking about character flaws, I think a lot of the time there could be something wrong that you did in your application, which meant you did not get hired. But I think a lot of the time it also depends on the competition. Who else has applied for that particular role? It's not about a lack of what you have, but more so what else does someone else bring to the table. And I think with getting yourself down and getting in a rut and like feeling depressed about the job application process, it's important to just remember that people just come from different walks of life. What someone else has experienced is not the same as what you've experienced. And you can't say, oh, but my CV is better and I've done X, Y, Z, therefore, and kind of have this like entitled approach to the job application process. Yeah. It's important to just think that maybe you're not the best candidate. Maybe other people do have something else. Or maybe they interviewed better or something like that. I think in this, it's quite important actually, which I don't think a lot of people speak about, is just to remain humble, you know? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that there is XYZ wrong with you. It just means that these are just ways in which you can improve. Even if you meet the entire job description and you get rejected, don't think that, oh, it's because I must have done this and I must have done this wrong. It could have just been someone else was better than you, and then that's just part of life. Just move on. Okay, so when we talk about jobs and everything, I think the next stage of life is getting a post-grad job and just graduating from university and making that transition really between being a student and, okay, I know you are technically an adult after you turn 18, but as someone who has worked at a corporate job and is a little bit older, yes, I would just say that I feel like you really enter adulthood after you graduate. And so I kind of just wanted to talk about that transition. How do you go from being in like a safe, enclosed environment with your university to actually entering the big bad world? And how do you navigate that? How do you navigate seeing what other people are doing on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, and just comparing yourself to them, feeling inferior, feeling like you're not doing well enough. So Siba, actually, I wanted to ask you how, I know you haven't entered the, postgraduate period yet, but just in general, how do you deal with comparing yourself to others? And how do you deal with kind of feeling inferior to others, or maybe feeling like you're not quite where you should be?
I feel every individual is very different, and the goals, the aspirations, the career is very different. So I think comparing yourself to others is not the best thing. I feel you should just compete with yourself. Are you better than your former self? I mean, yeah, I personally sometimes, and again, it happens by chance, I do compare myself to my friends. And it will make you feel bad if you have not achieved anything, and let's say your friend has achieved a lot, and that's the reality. But then I take it more in a positive way. I try to push myself to do something better.
Yeah, you can see it as healthy competition.
It's a healthy
or you can see it
competition.
as jealousy.
I try to see it as a
Ooh.
very healthy competition. I try to like motivate myself to do something, get out of my comfort zone, and I think I take it like that. I try not to take it in a very pessimistic manner, rather in a very optimistic manner. And I think just keeping my options available and opening everything with a positive outlook rather than a negative outlook. I think that's how I look at it. That's why I don't really open LinkedIn that often, because it's so stressful, and I need to even update my LinkedIn profile. But then I think just having a very positive outlook to life, I think, is more important. Comparing yourself is fine, but then keep it to healthy competition rather than jealousy, because it's not going to do anything good to you if you're jealous.
Yeah. And I think like Luna, what you were saying earlier about people being on different paths is so important, because you might think that you're more successful in this area or someone else is more successful in another area, but overall it probably balances out, and people have different goals and different ambitions. So yeah, do you want to speak more about that? Like, how do you just compare your trajectory to others when they're running a marathon and you're swimming?
Yeah, I think I'll talk briefly about that. But yeah, like you said, everyone's on their different path, really. Everyone's doing their own thing. And I think sometimes I tend to compare myself to people that are way older than me.
Yeah.
And then I realize, I'm like, okay, they're way older than me. Their prefrontal cortex is developed and mine isn't,
I think social media really plays into that, because a lot of influencers, like, you're only 19, and a lot of influencers are in like their mid to late 20s. And so, yeah, like feeling like they've got it together and you haven't. Well, yeah, of course, you're only 19.
Exactly. Like I haven't really done anything or had like these crazy experiences that my parents have had, and I also think, it's a normal human thing to like tend to compare ourselves to other people. They could be like 1 or 2 years older than us. I would say that's like a good range, to like be like, okay, we're kind of in the same area of life and whatever. But I think everyone's on their own path, really. And I think to, like, just as Shiba was saying, do your, like, look at your past self and then tell yourself, like, you know what, I have changed. I've done so much that my past self would be so surprised that I even did that now.
Yeah,
like right
true.
now, I'd be like, okay, I'm on a podcast. Like, okay, that's nothing, right? But my past self would be like, oh my God, that's so cool. You know what I mean? I think it is cool, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Another 100%. Version of me would be like, okay, just a podcast. But no, right now, I'm actually so happy to be here. My past self would be like, oh my God, you're on a podcast? No way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lie.
So I think it's just we have to think of our younger selves or our past selves.
And that's who we're competing with.
Exactly.
We're not competing with others. And I think what I want to say about comparing yourself to others is that you might think that someone's doing better than you just because you see them doing better on social media, or even on LinkedIn, which I guess is a form of social media these days. But they're just pretending. Like, nobody is actually going to go on LinkedIn and say, actually my job makes me depressed, or like, I'm stuck in a rut, or like, I haven't had a new experience in so long. I think a lot of people, they just only put out the best version of themselves, and so subconsciously you think that everyone is doing better than you, but nobody posts their bad days. Also maybe some people do just to attract some attention, but so moving on from that, Well, not really moving on from that, because our welfare officer for the student union, Sarah, has made this kind of forum called Wish Upon a Struggle. So this is kind of like a forum where you can say how you feel and maybe get some advice or some feedback, or, you know, have the welfare officer respond to you in some kind of way. But it's meant to be interactive. So this is from an anonymous student who has said, I feel a lot of social anxiety, which has meant I have struggled to feel involved and actually involved in the university. So I think social anxiety is something we all can relate to, in the sense that when we first arrived, we did not know anybody. And there's kind of like this anxiety with talking to new people and having small talk and thinking, oh, do I actually belong here? Feelings of imposter syndrome, and just in general feeling like you're different to everyone else. I think that's something I've had to struggle with a lot. But how do we overcome that? How do we learn to become more comfortable with other students and other people, and just be a bit more comfortable in our own skin so that we feel less of this social anxiety?
Oh, I think, so first of all, I want to say that I've been to 6 different schools, and like in different countries as well. So I felt like definitely the social anxiety, like how am I going to fit in? Like every 3 years I would switch schools. I never had a stable friend group in high school or in middle school or even elementary. So I think over time with that, I became more comfortable with just talking to random people, having random conversations. And I think as well, especially when it comes to uni, you meet so many different people, so many different personalities, so many different like characters in life. And it's so fun. It's so nice to have so many different people around you and groups, that I think once you tap in with yourself and you know so much about yourself, you can find I can find some commonality or some like interest and similarity with like me and this random person you'd never imagine I'd be friends with, because I know that this small thing about myself can be somehow, related with the other person, and then that's how we're friends. It doesn't always have to be with, I don't know, just like general things. It could be something small you never know, and you just talk about these things. I think if you know yourself well enough and you know all these different parts of you, you can always find something about yourself that can link with any random person around the university. So,
and just like not alienating yourself, like not thinking, oh, but I'm different to everyone else and I'm like this, because there will be someone, as you said, that shares at least something
100%.
in common with yourself. So yeah, just thinking that I'm not an outsider. I deserve to be here as much as everyone else. You know, everyone is kind of in the same boat, particularly in first year. Would you say that that's something you agree with, or?
I think the university has so many societies here. So I think you want to go to societies where you perfectly blend in. I mean, you have acting society, you have dance, singing, football. I mean, there should be something you like personally. And you want to go into those societies, make friends there, because everyone over there has that same interest. I think, secondly, this is just a personal thing, but I feel you want to educate yourself as well, because UK is so diverse. I mean, you've got people from so many different countries here, and I don't know, I just feel you want to educate yourself about different cultures, about different food,
and don't restrict yourself.
Don't restrict yourself, because let's say you meet an Arab person and you're not an Arab, but you know so much about their food, the language. They're obviously going to connect with you. And I personally tried this. I have learned not learned a different language, but then I tried to learn the conversational stuff of different languages. And when I meet those people, I interact with them, and they're like, "Whoa, you know our language," and you just connect with them.
Yeah.
If you know their food and if you know their language, you're gonna fall in love with you. I can't even.
Yeah. So when you go to university and you meet like a plethora of different people, everyone comes from different walks of life, whether it be culture or religion or just different experiences in general. Sometimes you have mature students on your course. And it's important to just think that you can learn something from everybody, and you are not so different from the person next to you. And if you just put yourself on the same playing ground and just think that I don't actually stick out like a sore thumb, like, even if you think you do, just convince yourself otherwise. Just think, everyone is feeling the same right now, and and just try and remain positive and make the most of this experience. I think university is such an incredible experience, and it's hard to not let social anxiety get in the way. But if you can kind of, as Luna was saying before, become familiarized with who you are through this process and see that you can connect with different sorts of people, then I think it will be a much more pleasurable experience for you. But yeah, just to wrap this up, I guess, what are your key takeaways with well-being whilst being in university?
I think love yourself. Meet so many people. You know how many people that are in this university? Yeah, like if you embarrass yourself, you're never gonna see them again.
It's fine.
And if
yeah.
by chance you do, it's maybe a sign to like, you know, try again. You never know.
Yeah.
And I think in general as well, in uni, your uni life doesn't have to relate to being on campus. You can literally go anywhere and spend half of my time in university. I don't even spend it on campus. I spend it outside of university, outside of Reading as well. So
just like try out different opportunities.
Yeah, go around.
You're never gonna have this time again.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
And you don't have to associate university with people. Half of my friends don't even go to Reading or not even in university. You know, you like
don't limit yourself.
Yeah,
Don't
don't limit yourself. Love yourself, and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And always take care of your well-being, because you never know. Like, some people don't think it's like actually will affect them, but sometimes it does. So take time with yourself and learn more about yourself. University is a place where you can learn so much about yourself.
Yeah, me time is very important.
Yeah. And with that, we will wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and cue the jingle outro.